Hey everybody, welcome to session 5 of our City in the Mist here at Foxtail Games. We're down one person today. DJ couldn't make it to this week, so we will soldier on. As normal, we have Nick. Say hi, Nick.
Hello.
We have Adrian. Go
Hello,
ahead.
Nathaniel, but thanks.
Nathaniel. Yeah, sorry. We have Aiden. I was looking at Aiden.
Hi.
Uh, we've got Kyle,
Yo,
and we've got Amy.
Hey, hey.
All right. So since we're 5 episodes in, I wanted to kind of go ahead and let everybody do a quick recap of who their characters are, so that we can kind of like make sure, um, we just got things together. So, you want to tell us about Lucius?
Yeah, Lucius, young kid, late teens, still lives with his mom, still trying to figure out life. Uh, is very outgoing and unaware of his surroundings. He's socially awkward. He says things he thinks out loud that he probably shouldn't. He It's very strange. The mythos that kind of follows him is more of a trickster Loki style uh, super, I guess you could say, and he's got some interesting talent, that's for sure.
All right. And he's definitely not one of our like more fisticuff combat characters either. He kind of hides in the shadows, does around the edges. Um, what about Father Williams? Who is he?
so Father Williams is an ex-cultist who reformed himself and became a priest. He has seen the true powers of cult, though. It's not like a fake cult, it was like a real cult dedicated to kind of like Cthulhu mythos type stuff. And so he is the bearer of the Necronomicon, which is a book dedicated to the elder gods. And it's trying to possess him and use him to do bad things, and he is very, very conflicted.
Yeah, he struggles a little bit sometimes when that power kind of kicks in. What about Rory? Who is Mr. Rory?
Rory is a descendant of William Wallace, the great Scottish freedom fighter. And he still kind of believes in the same thing, and he still tries to solve problems much the same way. Um, Not always a brilliant man, but very, very warm, very understanding, and but very also quick to get into a fight and solve things with his fist.
Which he's had mixed success with in the past couple days.
Yeah, digital dice hate me.
All right, what about Leona?
I play Leona Lazaro, and I belong to the major crime family that kind of runs these streets. She is still kind of holding on to her logos and kind of staving off her mythos, really, as she ties into another family drama on that side. Mostly good relationship with her father, shithead brother, very big rivalry between the two of them, and she just kind of coasts on her looks and her money.
Up until last episode when some of that
Yeah. She used to be quite convincing and really good at brokering deals and stuff, but it doesn't seem to be going over as well in Old Town as it does in some other locales.
Yep, absolutely. And last but not least, we have our newer member of the crew, Adrian. Who is Adrian?
Uh, Adrian is he's a reporter. Reporter in quotes. He runs a tabloid for the newspaper, trying to convince the everyday man about the magical things that can sometimes happen. No one takes him seriously. Um, but he's a bit over enthusiastic, a bit into himself too much, and kind of a product of a bygone era he was never really a part of anyway.
Fair enough. And so last episode, we started with the party getting arrested, and we ended up with a riot. But there were notably two exceptions to that situation. So, Lucius, why don't you tell us what happened after Detective Rodriguez showed up, guns were pulled, and everyone else was arrested.
Yeah, Lucius, being young kid, still trying to figure out the world. He let some of his powers get to him, and he spontaneously teleported back to the pediatrics hospital where that little girl in the basement had those dinosaurs. And he popped up, freaking the hell out. There's dinosaurs running all over the mess, but he managed to get himself out of that mess with a few bites, a few bruises, um, and ultimately was late getting home to his mother and was grounded for last session. So he's off of house arrest now.
Yeah. So, yeah, the problems with being a 17-year-old adventurer. All right. And what about Adrian? He vanished as well. What happened?
Well, he's a reporter. Adrian can't really, deal with being arrested. You can't stop the press. So he let the rest of the guys take the heat for him and went and investigated another story that was happening at the time. Kraken in the river. Somebody let an aquarium fish get too big and put it in the lake. That was pretty much it. Um, but made for a good headline for a couple days.
I love
All right. So, it has been a couple days since we ended the last session in game, I guess I should say. You guys have tried to find Dorian and have received neither head nor tails. This guy has eh, you can't like you have this feeling he hasn't left Old Town, but you're just not sure where he is. He's either actively hiding or at this point you're starting to wonder if something has gotten him or something has gotten hold of him. Conspicuously, your shadowy friend has also not showed up. The police have kind of slowed down their investigation of you guys. Detective Rodriguez has you've noticed her car circling the church or circling the boxing center or um, the art gallery several times, and you can feel her presence, her eyes upon you. But she doesn't have anything specifically to pin you down on. So at this point, it's just suspicion. Um, but we'll open up in in Rory's boxing gym. Um, you're all there. It's been a couple days, and you haven't found Dorian yet. Leona, your father is getting pretty impatient with him, um, and with you not being able to find him. So that's where we are at the moment. Go ahead, guys.
Look, I feel like we should check the docks one last time. If he's down there, I feel like he's down there somewhere.
Yeah, we've searched it multiple times already. I'm not really sure where else to look. And I don't know where your little riff-raff friends tend to hide their things down there.
I, look, I wouldn't go so far as friends, but look, where else could he be? So last place we knew he was, right? And he's not at any of his other haunts.
That doesn't mean he magically just is hiding. I mean, I have my eyes kind of looking around. I'm in communication with a lot of the less fortunate, and they've not found anything. He's not there, or if he is, he's buried in.
And it's important to note that the bricks have also been very quiet. You know they're around, but they have slunk to the shadows a little bit after their leader got arrested and got his butt kicked. So
That's what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Lucius, you get a phone call. Your cell phone starts buzzing.
Lucius, being Lucius, he's there playing with a yo-yo out of all things. There, listening to these guys do their stuff. Gets that phone call.
It's your mom.
Hello.
Lucius, just because you're not grounded anymore doesn't mean you need to be all over the place. I talked to Detective Rodriguez, and she says you're part of all this nonsense around here. So you need to promise me you're not getting in any trouble.
Mom, no, there's no way. I'm not on that side of things anymore. I promise you. I'm actually here with the father. You know Father Williams.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak with him?
Well, and she just yells to the phone. She goes, "Hey, Father Williams."
Hello.
You know her. She's come to you with at least
Mm.
5-6 complaints.
Your son's here. He's perfectly fine. He's at the church. Nothing's happening.
All right. She
See,
goes,
Mom.
she's like, "Don't you sass me. Just be home at a regular time. I got my eyes on you, and I have eyes in the city. I know what you're doing." And she hangs up on you. And then you get a text message that says "love you," and that's.
I get back to my yo-yo. That's what Lucius does.
If you wouldn't mind my asking, I'm still confused on how we lost your brother. I mean, I know I've not been here for a few days, but if I remember correctly, he's quite a large man.
Yeah, right. Well, he likes to run his mouth to a lot of people that he probably really shouldn't. So he went in running his mouth and got it shut for him.
As you guys are all talking, this time it's Leona's cell phone that chirps with a text message. It's a number you don't recognize, and it simply says, "Is the coast clear?"
I'm going to text back, yes.
There's a pause. You can see typing, 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 typing,
Oh, for God's sake.
and then it says, "Come down to the docks." And then that's it. That's all of that typing for that.
Right. Well, I've had a text from an unknown number saying that I need to go to the docks. I assume you're all coming.
Oh, no, I can't let you have all the fun.
I do enjoy having the fun. Anyone else?
Well, Adrian's eyes kind of light up a little bit, and he goes, I wonder if I could make a story out of this. Gangland disappearance. Yeah, that'd work great as a title.
Sure, I'll give you full rights to our story when this is all done. Let's go.
Why not? It's not like I have anything else to do, as I have a bunch of church stuff that hasn't been done.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. It's been a busy.
I'll help you out when we return, Father Williams.
Lucius, late to the party, still manages to catch up without saying a word. Just kind of that puppy that just keeps following.
All right, so you guys make your way down to the docks. You have to pass. You do have to kind of pass the art gallery as you get there this time around, because there's been so much that's happened that the streets are they're having to do some repairs here and there, and even on the street for the art gallery, because your father has been bitching that Tobias's influence actually cracked the street, so they've had to do repairs and things, which has reduced traffic and generally just made his already annoyed self very much more annoyed. So you kind of have to do a little, moving and back and forth to get there. It takes you longer than it normally would have. And you see the normal, there's shipping containers everywhere. You see people going back and forth, carrying things with forklifts, moving containers onto ships and barges and that sort of thing. You get a couple looks as you pull up with the limousine, but not really anything that, Leona's not used to, at least. But the rest of you probably are not used to people staring as you pull in. But yeah, the rain that has definitely been soaking in the past couple days has started to dry off, which makes it hot and humid. Um, and it smells like fish.
Fantastic.
Did your text say where we're supposed to go? As we kind of just stand around looking at each other.
Nope. I'm just gonna look around and go, I'm here. I'm here.
You get a couple looks and from dock workers, and one of them goes, "Yeah, we see ya."
Hello, darling.
Do I see any individuals, beggars, homeless, anybody like that I would know in the area?
Yeah, you see a couple. You see a couple of the guys. They're kind of backed into a corner. It's a hot day, so they're kind of in the shade. You know, they, you know these guys. They've been around a while. Their names are Frank and Earl, and they just seem to be like hollowed up, trying to stay cool because it's pretty gross out.
Okay. I walk over to Earl and ask him, "Hey, Earl, how are you doing?" And I also brought, because I think I would have brought some extra food and stuff like that, because I know
Right.
I was going to interact with
Okay.
folk like this. So
Yeah.
give them some food, to both of them, and try to chat them up. It's like, so have you seen any folks that look out of place here, like they don't belong?
Earl kind of looks at you. He goes, "Hey, father. I mean, the weirdest thing is that we hadn't seen anybody around lately. The past couple days, all of those, the Roughnecks hadn't showed up as much." And then Frank pops up and he goes, "Hey, there was that one guy in the suit. Remember that guy in the suit?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that was like, I don't remember. I don't." He holds up a busted watch on his arm and he goes, I hadn't been able to tell time in months, but it was like a day or so ago. Yeah, the guy was here. Really weird. He just kept like staying in the shadows of the shipping containers, like not really doing anything, but just being kind of creepy.
Gotcha. I think we may know who that is. Just he's trying to lay low. If you see him before we get in touch with him, let him know we are looking for him. His sister in particular.
Yeah. I'll tell him. He seems to be staying away from people though, but we'll try not to scare him too much.
Thank you.
And he
And
goes,
have a good day. God bless.
he goes, "Thank you for the food," and they get busy eating cheeseburgers or whatever you brought.
I walk back and let the group know, particularly Leona, he's here. They saw him hiding and skulking about, so you'll have to probably walk around and keep yelling because he'll recognize your voice and he'll actually come out.
That sounds like him. I'm also going to text the number that texted me and
Right.
say I'm here.
I was about to say, we do have a number we can text.
I'm gonna text him back, and then I'm just gonna meander.
Yeah, you after about a minute or so, and you're definitely getting looks now as you're just like, you obviously do not belong here. So they're kind of like, what is going on?
Adrian's pulled out a notebook and is just writing various things down and trying his best to look like he's from OSHA.
I'm going to hand out business cards. Maybe they'll might want to join a gym, and make sure they keep well maintained.
Yeah, one guy kind of looks you up and down, and he says, "How much you bench?"
About 350.
Yeah.
It ain't much, but
He kind of gives you that appraising look. He goes, all right, I might show up." And he says, he goes back. He kind of says, "But I gotta get back to work."
yeah.
Your phone dings and it says yellow shipping container. He says it's all the way at the end.
My phone.
And if you And if you look, you can see there is indeed a yellow shipping container kind of towards the far end of the docks.
I'm not going to say that out loud, but I'm going to show my phone screen to Father Williams.
I kind of nod and like kind of jerk my head that direction to indicate, all right, let's start going. And I was probably trying to distract also from the group looking weird by handing out food, being like, oh, the church is just giving out food to whoever, like both people that need it and people that could use a financial break.
And there's some dock workers that are part of your church, and they, hey, Father Williams, as you pass. So, um, and a couple of them even look over at Lucius, and uh, they kind of they've interacted with you before, like various little things that you've done around town to get a little extra money, do a little mischief there, and so they'll nod at you and kind of smile at you, like, and then check their pockets.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, so you guys approach this yellow shipping container. Do you just sort of walk up to it, or?
Yeah, my heels clacking really loudly, I imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. The container door opens, and you hear Dorian's voice. Quick, quick, get in here before anybody sees you. Good Lord, you're conspicuous.
It's with the dramatics.
Now, please.
Say now to me again. I'll just take the whole damn container home, brother.
He sighs and from inside the container, and he says, I apologize. It's just been a very long couple days."
That's the correct attitude, and I'll gesture everybody in.
And you realize as you get into the shipping container, like, he has been living here for the past couple of days. Like, he has set up a little shop. He has a cot. He has a wine cooler and a little generator.
You would.
Yeah,
You would.
yeah. He's not hurting, but he also hasn't shaved in a couple of days, which is very much not like him. His clothes he's still wearing the same suit, but it's very disheveled, and he looks very nervous. As a matter of fact, when you all get in, he goes, shut the door. And as soon as you shut the door, the lights that he set up, like, come on, and like, very bright, and he just kind of sits on the bed and he goes, I'm glad. Is Father okay?
Of course, Father's okay.
He kind of looks for a second and he goes, fuck.
What the
I really
fuck
thought that
did
was
you
going to
do?
work.
What did you do?
Listen, the old man is just, he's worthless these days. He hasn't done anything good for the company, and it's about time for someone else to step up. I saw an opportunity. I maneuvered things. Some of it, yes. He's getting our people killed, Leona, whatever that thing is that comes in the dark. It's his fault. And they're coming after our people, and he's not doing anything.
Well, how
And he
about
kind of looks around. He goes, he sent these bozos, but they made it worse.
They made it worse.
Yes, they got the cops involved.
Your incompetence made it worse. If you're going to overthrow somebody, you do it right the first time.
I thought that gigantic asshole that ran those gang members would take it on. But then I found out that you interfered.
Of course I interfered. My home was being surrounded. Moron.
He just kind of sighs. He says, but there's a bigger problem than Father reaming me a new asshole.
You'll be lucky to get away with that.
He just kind of looks at you, and you can tell, like, you can really tell that he is terrified. And he says, "That thing has followed me for 4 days. I can't go anywhere that it's dark. As soon as it gets dark, she is there.
Oh, good. That's why she's left us alone.
And
Fantastic.
she's not going to stop with just me. She's after father, but she wants to take us out first."
She tried that already.
He kind of shakes his head and he goes, "I swear every day she's getting worse. Every day she's getting more powerful."
Well, that's good. I'm going to let her take you out before I stop it then.
"Look, sister, I'm sorry. I should have let you in. I should have let you in on the plan. But
Of course you should have. If anybody's going to take his place, it's not going to be you.
I hate to agree with her, but I think that I stand a better chance of taking it over than you do.
he kind of looks at you for a second,
Stop
looks back at Leona, and he says, "Does the hired help always talk for you?"
These people are my friends and associates. And if you had a crew half as decent as the people behind me, you wouldn't be in this pathetic position now, would you?
And
That's
why not twist off?
I know, right? So pretentious. Always have to have the core.
look, Leona. What are we going to do about this creature?
I and my associates are going to handle it while you run away like a little girl yet again.
He just kind of looks at you and he says, "Fine. Just..." He
Another one
stops.
of your messes to clean up.
He goes, just watch your back.
Is that a
Just
threat? brother?
no, it's not a threat. I'm out of this. I'm done with this. Father is not. That thing is not. Father put us in this position, and now he wants us to clean up his mess. And it's going to get us all killed.
Father took the leader of the bricks and shattered him with a snap of his fingers. Do you think he's worried?
He kind of looks over at Rory and he says, "I heard he softened him up a little bit."
Maybe a little.
What? I'll make amends. What can I do to help you get this thing taken care of?
You can stay out of my way.
Fair enough.
You say it's been
Oh.
following you.
Mm-hmm. Every day. Every time I turn around, every time there's a shadow, it's there.
Well, it seems we have bait then.
I have no problem using him as bait.
His eyes go
The
wide. He says,
trap.
"No, I am not coming out of this container. I have everything set up here that I need. There are plenty of lights. There are no shadows."
Okay.
Adrian walks over to the generator and just hovers his hand over the switch.
Lucius, would you mind to just pull the cords?
Yeah. He leans down, sees that fuse on the front, and just pulls it. It just clicks, shuts everything down.
And yeah, everything goes like pitch black in this container. It is absolutely black.
He has his lighter ready. He's
Still want to
lighter,
stay here.
fuse.
Why are you such a bitch?
You made me
Fine.
this, brother.
Excuse me.
Oh, it's a term of
Hey,
darling.
she's-
Don't worry. I own it. It's all right.
Fine. Where are you going to take me then? What do you want from me?
Suggestions?
Let's get out of this dark container first.
Yes, as quickly as possible, please.
Lucius opens up the gate, the doors.
Yeah,
Some
and
fresh
and
air and light.
light floods in, and And as you're walking out, who would be the last person walking out?
I
I'm
think
gonna have my
Lucius and
brother by the
Adrian
arm
were.
in the middle.
I
I'll
think
be
Lucius
fine
and
with
Adrian
waiting
were towards
behind.
the back.
Okay. All right. So, Father Williams, as you go to close the door back up to the shipping container, for just a second, you really feel like one of the shadows just sort of like ripples, and then the door shut, and it's bright daylight outside.
Creepy, I love it.
I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah. You didn't hear any music playing, so that's at least
That's a
something.
bonus.
All right, so where do you take Dorian?
I think we need information. So I don't care where we take him. It's more we need to know all we can know about why this thing is following. He seems to know some information as to why your father was involved with this whole thing. So we need that information, I think, at this point, if we can get it.
We can just get to the car for now.
Mm-hmm.
Chat. We're on the way somewhere.
Yeah. He gets into the car and he goes, "Oh dear God, air conditioning."
Yes, you have definitely not been in the air conditioning for a few days.
He reaches into his back pocket and he pulls out a newspaper clipping and he goes, "Here, the last time she was tormenting me, she left this." And it's just a folded up piece of newspaper. Looks not old, but it looks like it's been around for a couple months.
Take a look at it with
All right.
whoever's sitting next to me.
When you unfold it, you realize the date is about 6 months ago, and it says crime hit turned fatal. And as you start reading it, you remember this. You don't know why it sat in the back of your mind so much, but about 6 months ago, when the turf war between the Bricks and the Lazaros started getting pretty hot, the reason it started getting hot was that the Lazaros were shaking down one of the local banks as the Bricks basically got ballsy enough to come in and hold a bank robbery. They weren't very good at it. Your father's men were there already. Um, Dorian was part of it. Shots started getting fired, and a family was killed, a mother, a father, and a small girl. Another girl was severely injured but not killed. And it's kind of what started the turf war. After that, it was just like both sides blaming each other, and it was just escalation after escalation up until about 3 months ago when things were basically the detective Rodriguez was able to get to these people and negotiate some kind of a ceasefire. Um, that turned out to be the only actual fatality in it all. There was a lot of property damage. There was some injury to people, but no one else died but that family. And it's kind of weird that you didn't really remember that happened. Like you remember the incident, but you didn't really remember like any of the details about it. You just knew, yeah, it happened. And Dorian just kind of looks at you, and he still looks pretty shaken up. And he says that whatever this is, it clearly blames us for this.
She should blame you. You directly. You did this.
He kind of looks at you for a second, and he shakes his head, and he goes, "Me? Who do you think told me to tell my men to shoot? Who do you think told me to make sure they learned their lesson?
And you did it.
Because he told me to.
Please.
What else?
You do everything he says, huh?
Not everything, but when he barks an order like that, regardless,
Another mess. Another.
regardless, she's gonna tear this whole place apart until she takes us down.
Rightly so.
You
I'm
want
not
to?
I'm not saying I'm not guilty, and I'm not saying that it's a deserved thing. I'm saying I don't want to die to this bitch.
I'm sure she didn't want to die to you either, did
She
she?
didn't die.
She didn't die.
Yes, 6 months in a coma. I'm assuming she's obviously the one. Like, dead people don't get back up and walk around. Even as weird as the shit that we deal with on a weekly basis is, dead people don't get up and walk around.
Hmm, it does happen sometimes.
Do I recall if there was any like wakes or anything like that for the family? Like any
Yeah,
public?
there was a sort of community. The community itself tried to do something, but like they were the only family there. They were an immigrant family that had moved in, and so there was no other family, just this little girl. So like the community kind of like was basically waiting for this girl to either wake up or die before they did anything. But there was kind of uh, a minor funeral, not at your church and not in your cemetery, at one of the other ones, but in general, it was an outrage for about 2 weeks, and then in the wake of everything else that was happening, it just kind of got silently swept up.
So we have two ways to go about this. We can either confront this ghost or whatever it is and try to just stop it through raw power, or the other maybe alternative is to figure out how to put it to rest in a
Do we
non-violent fashion.
do we think that necessarily that's the way to go about it? I mean, while she is vengeful for sure, she is also trying to collect those music sheets or whatever it is you guys were trying to get rid of.
Dorian shrugs. I don't know about that stuff. That's more father's area. He knows more about the spooky shit than I do.
I assume that this girl happened upon something that gave her an out for revenge. How that came about, I have no idea. How she came in contact with it. But we've all been touched by things. And I assume this girl has also been touched by one of these things because maybe her family died, a great tragedy happened that it triggered it, or if she had contact before and now she had reason to seek it out and use it. I don't know.
I mean, you've seen her. You saw her in that hotel. I know you guys did. Like, whatever she is, she's a lot more. She's got a lot more of that than most everybody else that we know with these abilities does. Like, I don't know that
Perhaps
there's anything. There's barely anything left of her, whatever she was before. Just that desire to destroy everything that destroyed her life.
Well, maybe if we know more about who she was, we can pull back out the person instead of the creature. Maybe we need to
perhaps
find who she knew, like friends, contacts.
perhaps it's more her power using her as opposed to her using her power. I've heard rumors about it in my investigations before, but I've never seen it firsthand.
Lucius, it occurs to you that you remember that this girl went to your high school. She wasn't really part of your friend group or anything like that. I imagine Lucius probably kind of like sticks to himself anyway, more than likely.
Yeah.
But you remember they closed down school for like a day, and like they had a grieving thing, and they taught counseling and that sort of thing. But once again, just like everybody else, it seems to have just like died down almost like now that you're thinking about it, you can remember it, but before then
Yeah.
you couldn't remember it at all. Like,
Was there any noticeable, like, uh, significant people in her life that may have stood out to someone like Lucius that's kind of on the outs, like maybe a mother or sister or brother, or somebody that may have spoken or at an honorary
uh,
thing or anything that might.
you remember that her best friend spoke, but her entire family, she's the only survivor of her family. There's nobody else left.
Um,
They had just moved into this part of the city, so there were no aunts, no uncles, no brothers, and
so
her only sister died.
Lucius is riding in the front seat of this limo because that's where all the buttons are, and he looks over the privacy glass in the back and goes, "Guys, I remember her from school. I remember this happening. She had a friend. She had a really close friend. Um, I'm sure we can figure out a way of getting in contact with her and try to get some information on her."
Not gonna like the sound of this, but it sounds like we may want to split up a little bit. And perhaps, Lucius, you should go find her friends, see what information you can find out about her. In the meantime, I get the joy of going to the police department and seeing if we can talking to Rodriguez and seeing if we can find out any evidence of what was family, next to kin, any contact, if they have any kind of records of this family and like any information, any possessions that they collected from their house. Because if everybody was killed, they probably would have been evicted, and their whatever goods they have was probably taken into evidence, or I don't know.
All right. What about everybody else?
I
I've got to
mean,
send my brother home.
I can help at the police station. I wouldn't mind seeing Detective Rodriguez again.
I can go with Lucius.
Okay. All right. So you're taking Dorian back to the art gallery. So we'll kind of do this as sort of like a montage scene. So what we'll do is have everybody roll one specific role to kind of help them out, and we'll see sort of what happens. So starting with Leona drops everybody off at their respective places and makes her way back to the gallery.
I'll catch back
Um,
up with you at the police station.
what is in this sort of scene, what is Leona's purpose? Is she trying to throw her brother to the wolves? Is she going to cover for him? um what is she trying to do?
She is going to start kind of casual, and I'm not going to throw him to the wolves yet,
Okay.
but I'm going to come in and I'm just like, before we get there, I'm going to go act normal and be really fucking stupid and woozy and shit, okay? Right, here we go. I'm
Yep.
going to drag him in and basically be like, he's fucked up. He got the shit kicked out of him and he's not like himself, and I'm going to help him to bed, and then I'm going to try and see if he's actually forthcoming with any information that I asked him about last time we spoke.
All right, so roll me a convince and let me um I am going to give you already a +1 on it,
Okay.
because Dorian really does look like shit.
Yeah.
um
Yeah. And I think I'm going to hide my true feelings on
okay.
with that one as well. So we'll do a 2, and thank you for the modifier.
7. All right. So yeah, you go about this. Dorian looks as pitiful as Dorian can. And your father looks at him, gives kind of a little like, huh. Well, get some rest. We'll have a talk about this later. And then he looks at you and says, "Is there anything else, daughter?"
No, he's really kind of woozy, and he's not really speaking any sort of sense quite yet. But last time I was here, we talked about this being that's coming after everybody, and you said you'd try to find some info for me. So, wondering if you'd found anything.
Um, he thinks about it for a second before you can tell he's doing his thinking face, and he says, "I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's been quiet for the past couple days, so I have some suspicions, but I don't want to send you on a wild goose chase yet."
I had some rumblings about something at a bank. I'm not really sure exactly
He
what
gives you
that
a very shrewd look, and he goes, "That was months ago, daughter, months ago." And
No, I mean, I
we
remember it happening, but it didn't seem like it was a big deal, right?
I mean, it started off all of this nonsense, and that poor family was, I mean, it was a
Hmm.
tragedy. We would have paid to their relatives if they'd had any, but you know, it's if those idiots hadn't started things, we wouldn't have been there in the first place. Things would have been quiet and normal as they went along.
So,
But
there wasn't there a girl there
I mean,
in that
yes,
family?
right, the one who went to the hospital. Yes, we
Mhm.
paid her hospital bills.
That was nice of you, Father.
He shrugs and he says, "I must do my humanitarian part.
Of course, of course.
Is
I
there
know you're
anything else?"
busy. No, we're going to go out for a bit, chase some loose ends, and I'll be back.
He nods and he says, "Well, be careful. Just because it's been quiet doesn't mean it's done."
I'm always careful, Father.
Of course you are. Of course you are. All right. So, who wants to go next? Don't volunteer all at once.
Yeah, Lucius and Adrian, why not? Let's
Okay.
head
We
on
can do
over
that.
to Bonnie's house or whatever her name is.
Yeah, Bonnie works. So yeah, you go through, and this girl lives like 2 or 3 blocks down from where you do, Lucius. Um, and you see that her car is in the her mom had bought her a little like beater car. It's her first car, and it's pulled into the driveway, so she's clearly home.
Uh, Start walking up to the
Okay.
door to knock. Keeping my eye out on Adrian. I don't want his notepad open. If he whips out that notepad, it's gonna kind of give him the
Eh,
international sign to put that shit away.
Adrian actually kind of looks a bit more solemn than he normally does.
what is
A
your
bit more like drawn back.
So Lucius, what is your goal in this scene?
The goal is to flesh out more information um, about what happened and who might still be around that might give us more information towards what's happening.
So do you think you're looking more for a convince or an investigation?
Probably more of an investigation.
Okay. All right, give me a roll. Add you've got a journalist with you, so add a +1.
+1. Let's see, +1. And can I use talk my way? Oh no, not out of anything. Maybe police procedures on investigating and navigating a conversation with someone. And
Yeah, you've your mom has talked to you enough about like how she does her work that you kind of know a thing or two about like interrogation. Maybe isn't the word, but you know a thing about questioning
yeah,
witnesses and things.
okay.
All right,
Cool.
so you got a 7. It's the number of the night. So you get two clues. You get two questions. You can ask.
Let's see. The two guys that weren't in last session are asking the questions. This
Yeah.
is rough.
Right.
I was like, what does Lucius know?
So Lucius does know that her friend is no longer in the hospital, but the hospital has not actually released that news that one of their patients has escaped and murdered someone in the process.
Gotcha. What was this girl's name? Do we?
Her name was
Uh,
Sarah.
Sarah. That's right,
Mhm.
Sarah. Um. Uh, two questions. Let's go ahead and ask um, if Bonnie is familiar with anything that wasn't reported in the newspapers on why she was in the hospital.
Okay.
Is that too vague?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
So yeah, Bonnie comes to the door, and yeah, it's been 6 months. She's kind of moving along as it is. And she opens the door and she kind of looks at you, and she takes a second and she goes, "You're in my school, right? Like, yeah. I recognize you from school. What are you doing here?"
Hey, Bonnie. Yeah, it's Lucius. We were in third grade and seventh grade, and then recently in English class. And so
Yeah.
we've been around each other. I live right around the corner with my mom. Um. Uh. Yeah. I working with the father there at the church, and come across some information on Sarah. You remember Sarah from
Yeah, she
a while ago?
she gives you a look and she goes, "Yes, of course I remember her.
Yeah.
What is it that you want? What's I got to get to work."
No, I understand. Just there's been some weird things happening, and uh, wondering if she's supposed to be at the hospital in her coma, and it's just things are weird around it. There's been some new information that came to light, and just wondering if maybe you had some information that maybe wasn't published in the newspapers that might help us figure out what's going on with her.
Roll me a convince real quick, because she kind of, as soon as you start talking about Sarah, you can see her eyebrows start going down, her brow furrowing. Um,
Okay. Um, uh, I'd like to use talk my way out of anything to kind of press
okay,
me navigating this and trying to.
I think delicate would work as well.
Hmm, yeah,
You know,
as well or.
yeah, I would add that to it. Yeah.
Okay. There's that 7 again. Holy
Oh,
moly.
that's 7. Yeah,
I mean, it is the most common.
she kind of like looks at you, and then she looks over at Adrian standing behind, and she goes, "I mean, look, my best friend is in a coma. Her family died. Like, yeah, it was freaking weird. Like, I went and visited her like twice in the hospital, and like that place was super creepy. Everything was like really dark in her room, no matter like what time of day it was. Every time I went there, it was like super dark in that place. It was really kind of, it creeped me out. I stopped going."
Adrian kind of steps up to Lucian and puts his hand on his shoulder, and says, "Well, actually, we've been doing a bit of a investigation. I've been working, as like I said, with the father about some of the goings ons at the hospital that may have had some wrongdoings happen in the past, and I was wondering if necessarily there was anything about Sarah that they might have. I don't know how to say it properly, but well, looked down on. Would did Sarah? Did you ever notice anything strange happening around her, or anyone acting strange toward her?
She goes, "It's a hospital. It's a creepy ass hospital. Of course, there was strange shit going on. Like, what? I've got to get to work. What are you two? What are you trying? Get to the point." And she starts like she pulls her purse up on her shoulder and looks like she's gonna like push past you, in any second. You got one more question. What the hell do you want?
Help, guys. You got any questions that I should
Um,
be asking? I can't think of anything that Lucius would be asking at this moment. That would be
Yeah,
beneficial.
Adrian is trying his best to not be a reporter about this. So
I think we would have like talked before you left about like what we were interested in. I think part of it is just I'd also be interested like where's she from, like her background, like her family, information like that, because anything like that could give us ties as to why she would have a connection to this thing. So anything like that could be useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Bonnie, one more question. I'll let you go. Can you tell us anything about Sarah? I mean, does she have any family left, or do you have any stories about her? Do you have a journal or any kind of documents that might help us get to know her better?
She's kind of like she's like, no, she doesn't have any more family. They all came over from like Poland or something like that, and that's her mom and her dad and her sister were the only ones there, and they died. Like, and I mean, she was my best friend, so like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Okay, just leave me alone. And she storms off to her car.
Yeah, Lucius won't stop her.
Yeah.
that
all right.
could have gone better.
And so to the police station, Rory and Father Williams. You guys pull up to the police station, and it's as busy as it always is.
After you, Father.
Thank you. So I will go up to the front desk and whoever's working there say hello, good day.
Yeah. You recognize Francine. She is one of your congregation members, and she goes, "Oh, hey, Father, how you doing today?"
I've had better days. We've been having to look into a matter that was long past, but I feel like we did not do our due diligence as far as a family and their tragic circumstances. Do you remember about six months ago, I believe it was, where the family was killed because there was a shootout between those the turf war that recently happened? That
She stops and she kind of thinks about it for a second. She goes, "Yeah, that's so weird that I just couldn't. Now that you say it, yeah, I remember. I remember that. It was like it was a pretty big deal, right? Because like everything just got hopping over here after that. We were so absolutely so busy after that. Yeah, what the poor little girl went to the hospital, right?
Yeah, and she's been in a coma as far as we can tell, but we don't know. We've heard that she maybe come to in the past day or so. I've heard information from some folks talking, and like I was curious, like if she was to actually get released or at least wake up, Like, what happened to all of her stuff, her family's property? Like, where they did that get thrown in like storage, or like what? How would the police handle that?
She thinks, and she says, "You know what, Father? I could probably look that up for you. I don't see. I mean, I don't see why I couldn't. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
we're just wanting to know for her, and like in case we need to touch base with her because she'll want her stuff and her family's
she's like, yeah, it's just,
things.
it's so weird. Like I couldn't remember it until you said something about it. Like that was a big deal, right? Like that was a
Yeah.
pretty big deal. That's really strange. Uh, yeah, Father. Let me see if I can get you any of that information. I can. I'm. It'll take me a little while though.
Mhm. Well, I appreciate anything you
Hmm.
can get.
And then as you two are talking, you hear a very definitive clack of heels, and Roy, you turn around and Detective Rodriguez is bearing down on you, and she's like, whatever you're doing here, I know it's going to be bullshit, and I know it's going to make me angry, but I'm going to ask anyway. Why are you here?
Detective Rodriguez, it's always such a nice day to see you. Such a lovely day.
It The bullshit doesn't work, Roy. Get to the point.
Well, see, you know that thing that we were looking into, right?
Yeah, whatever the hell. I don't even know what happened the other day. None of us know what happened the other day.
Well,
You guys seem to know what happened the other day. You didn't seem phased by it. So one day you're going to give me answers.
over dinner?
Don't push your luck.
Now, I have some possible information. With that being said, I'm probably gonna need to see what you know and see how our information works together. And maybe we can figure that over a coffee.
Roll me a convince. Um, let's see. Hold on. Do me a favor and go for a negative. We'll invoke you're just a jock.
Okay.
Goodness.
That's a -1.
Yeah.
And maybe just a D-list celebrity to kind of maybe negate that.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
All right. So I'm at a 0.
Yep.
I'm on 7.
Oh,
Almost.
she looks at you. She leans in really close, and she says very sweetly, she says, "You know, maybe I can help you." And then you hear a click, and there's a hand cuffed around your wrist, and she says, "Or maybe I can take you in and we can bring you back to the interrogation room and find out exactly what you know. Your choice. I'll play ball."
Look, I'm on to play ball, but I can't play in your court right now. Not with this.
She looks over at Father Williams and she says, "I do not understand what your I can see what this idiot is all about. Why are you here?"
I am here to help out those lost souls that need guidance.
That is the
Who's my
most
chaperone?
bullshit answer I've ever heard in my life. Tell me straight. Why are you here? What do
We are
you
trying to put that thing to rest by giving it a peaceful passage to the next world.
you you recognize while you're when you say that there is a look in her eyes where you realize that she gets it, that she understands that where most people it seems like when they encounter this stuff it sort of like fades out after a while and like changes, kind of like the deneuralizers and Men in Black, it kind of like
Mm.
fades to, oh, that was an explosion, or that was like a balloon or something like that. But you recognize that she, despite the fact that she has not told anybody and has let everybody think that like she doesn't know what's going on, she, you can tell she remembers, um and that she is, does not know what's going on, but she definitely remembers the events. um and she just kind of looks at you and goes, well, fine, follow me. Then she uncuffs Rory, and she, as she walks past the interrogation room, she looks back at Rory and kind of grins at him for a second, and then goes to her office.
I'll like kind of look at him for a second, and then like as I pass by, kind of tap him on the shoulder. It's like maybe next time she'll use them on you, and then I'll just keep walking.
Father, how scandalous!
Oh my.
Oh my, dear me. And yeah,
What
she
now?
leads you, and it's exactly like you would expect an office in like any cop drama to be. It's got like papers stacked everywhere, and there's a bulletin board that has some things. And as soon as you guys get in there, she like flips it over so you can't look at it. Um, and she goes, "All right, sit down and start talking. What is going on? And don't bullshit me anymore, because I saw that, and I saw you guys, and you knew what the hell that was."
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far, but I knew how to handle it.
This girl, her family was killed, and she wants revenge. She has ties to something to do with those notes. There is a song, and somehow this song is possessed her. And this is going to sound crazy, but you saw what you saw, so I think you'll believe it. And this girl is seeking revenge and killing those that were involved in the killings of her family.
She kind of shakes her head for a second. She goes, I know what I saw. Yes. But I don't understand any of this. What I do understand though is that you guys are involved, and the Lazzaros are involved, which I don't like. I don't like it when they get involved in things. It's trouble. And she looks at both of you and she said, "You should stay away from them. But if you can fix this," she points out to the main room, and she goes, "All of my officers couldn't fix it. Like they whatever that was took them down in seconds. It took me down in seconds. You I don't understand. I don't understand. But what do you need from me?"
I can train you to take that down.
We'll talk about that. What do you need from me right now?
We want to find any information about this girl and her family. We have reason to believe she has escaped the hospital and she is now seeking revenge. And we're trying to find any information about her specifically, including what happened to her, because when her family died and she went to a coma, what happened to her stuff? What happened to her family's stuff? Did it get put in some kind of evidence locker or something like that?
Uh, she thinks about it and she says, "Well, I mean, I am sure anything they had on them, anything that would have been evidence would, but the the coroner's office would have dealt with anything. If I remember correctly, she they didn't have any family, so I imagine if nobody came to claim it, the city's probably gotten rid of it by now. There's a chance. There's a chance that it could still be in a storage facility somewhere. Like they do wait for a while to release it, but You
Well,
know how
yes,
the
they would
things are.
hold a public auction or something to that
Yeah,
after
yeah,
nobody claimed it. For usually, it's at least a year though or so before.
yeah. Like I would maybe go down to the city hall, see if they know where it is. I can look that up for you. Like I said, if this gets this done, I've got potential gang war on my hands. I- I've got a gang leader sitting in my jail. Like the last I knew, this was done. This was fixed. This wasn't going to be an issue, and suddenly things are back to riots in the streets and crazy tentacle shadow girls attacking police stations and hotels being terrorized, and I am too old for this.
I understand.
So yeah, give me a little bit of time and I'll get you the information you need.
Excellent. Thank you. And we will hopefully track down this girl and tie up this loose end.
And yeah, she looks at Rory and she says, and I might take you up on that training because I don't understand what the hell's going on.
All in due time, my dear. All in due time.
Don't call me that. Now, get out of my office.
Yes, ma'am.
Truly
All
a
right.
love story for the ages.
And we are going to take a break right there, guys, and we should be back in about 5 minutes.
Yay!
All right, and we're back. So we got all of our information, had our little quick montage there, and where do you think you guys would meet back up?
The gym?
Seems to be the gym or the church. So
Jim's
uh,
fine.
I mean,
the
if you
church
take
is a little less stinky.
Come to the gallery if you'd like.
Oh, well, it's hard to drive to the gallery. So right now, there's a big crack in
well,
the
you can
side.
bring Dorian down, and then I can have my protege kind of go a few rounds. You know, I'm sure you'd enjoy that.
We're working
That's a
on
good question. Are you bringing Dorian with you, or are you leaving him there
no,
with you?
absolutely not. No, he just fucks things up.
Okay.
Stay at home and
Um,
keep your mouth shut until I get back.
Make
Alright,
sure to
so-
leave a nightlight on for him.
So
Turn the lights off when I walk out.
right, Father Williams, as you guys are getting there, you get an email from Detective Rodriguez, and when you pull it up, it's got an attachment to it, and it seems to be just a list of like
I'd like
household
to make
things.
one correction. How is she emailing me, and how am I getting it?
You
I
have
don't
a,
have a cell phone.
you have a cell phone. All right,
No,
fine.
I don't believe in technology. I ride a bike, for God's sake.
Then it will unfortunately go to Rory. So Rory, you get the email. Yeah.
The subject line is just.
She went to
ugh.
go. So before you guys left, so to retcon a little bit, before you guys left, she went to Father Williams. She goes, "All right, I need your email to send you this stuff." And then when you tell her you don't have an email address, she just looks at you like you are clearly an alien, sighs, and goes, "All right, Rory, what is it?"
Oh, it's just owner at Atlas Gym and .com and
She
yeah.
kind of like she goes, "Don't make me regret this, but I will send you the information as soon as I get it." So yeah, you guys are just getting there, and you realize that this you've gotten this email, and the attachment is a list of just like stuff, clothes, furniture, just all the things that were listed in like what their belongings were, their estate belongings were. Um, Nothing in it really like shows like really catches your attention, except that there is a picture in the list because they had a couple pieces of art. So there are a couple like pictures. And one of the pictures is this really like you've got this like picture of sunflowers and pots and pictures of like a girl running through a field, and then the other picture is this sort of like dark forest scene, and there is this like on the bottom of it, it looks like this like thorn bushes maybe, but it's like very like stretched out, and it's all black on the bottom, and it looks like maybe in the forest there are like these thorn bushes, but like when you look at it again, it looks almost like the thorn bushes are these like not like tendrils into the forest as opposed to actual like thorns. Um, and it's just really, it just catches you as really weird looking because there's no other pictures of anything else. There's just pictures of these three pieces of art.
Do we know what happened to this artwork, or is it something that was sold?
Um, on the bottom of the list, she goes, "Yeah, these are still all. The city has them. I can probably," and then it says, "I can probably get you access to them."
Yeah, I'd say we go check those out.
So yeah, everybody else gets there. You guys can kind of debrief on what you found out.
Well, realistically, it's probably Mia that does all of his paperwork. So she
Mhm.
probably just printed out the whole list for him,
Okay.
and he's able to kind of like have copies and hand out to everybody.
Yeah, he's got his reading glasses on, squinting at them. So yeah, you walk in the door, Leona, and they hand you this stuff, and you see these three pictures. And given that you run an art gallery, you recognize them as a fairly famous Polish artist. None of his stuff is really worth anything, but you know very specifically that this man painted like 300 paintings in a course of like 3 years and then disappeared just off the face of the planet,
Okay.
um, and left just all of these paintings just around. Like there's so many of them in distribution that they're not worth anything, but they are critically accredited. Like they're definitely collectors that love to have these in there because they're just so interesting. Um, and you look at them and you realize like you recognize the vase of flowers, you recognize the girl running through the field. You don't recognize the other one. It's not something that you recognize, which is weird because you should recognize like everything he's like you it's your job to know these things, and you don't think you've ever seen that painting before.
Okay. I will convey that to
Mhm.
everybody.
All right.
I don't know this one. And is it similar to the other ones?
No, the you can definitely tell it's the same artist. It's got like a lot of the same, it's got the same textures and the same brush strokes and the same technique. But this is whereas like these are like the others are very bright and lots of like yellows and blues and whites. This one is like reds and dark purples and blacks. It's a very like dark toned painting.
This is very much not his usual style. It strikes me as quite odd.
It's his Saturn eating his son.
Is hey Adrian, do you
Yep.
recognize any of this work? Like in the library thing that we went to, that weird.
Oh yeah. Would I recognize any of his work from the library?
You don't necessarily, but that doesn't mean you can't try to get access to the library again.
We could try and find it again. Find paintings that he might not have gotten out.
But if you put out 300 in 3 years, can you imagine how many there are that he didn't do?
Yeah.
I'm on board though. The library was cool as fuck.
And you do, Leona, have access to people that are art historians.
Hmm.
That if you don't know it, they will.
I'm gonna snap a picture of it and start emailing it
Okay.
to my people.
We were only really able to find out that she was Polish, which, given the art, not a very big surprise there.
It's Polish artist, yeah.
Um, but do we have a name for this artist, and do we have a last name for Sarah?
What is the artist's name?
His name is Jacob. Let me make sure I got that right. Jacob Estwig.
Jacob Estwig.
Do we have Sarah's last name?
Estwig. Her last name was oh yeah, I lost imagination. So her last name was Harding, Sarah Harding. Sorry, Jurassic Park fans. It's like one of those things where like I wrote it down and I knew it sounded familiar, but I didn't remember where it sounded familiar from. And then afterwards, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's where it is.
That's
Common
it.
name, fine. It's a common name."
It'll be all right.
Um, we also might want to look into what was her mother's maiden name.
Valid
You
point.
Yeah, you don't know that necessarily.
Something Rodriguez would know. You could contact her back on.
Possibly, yeah.
It's true.
Now that
Alright.
you slid into her DMs, you can directly message.
Is Leona gonna mention the fact that her father Baldface lied to her?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Not yet. We're still kind of conversing over this information.
Okay.
Now the question is, what do we want to do with this information? As much as I love just having it, not really anything too much I can see here that we would be able to sway
I think we should try and take a
vengeful
look
girl.
at this painting.
I think this painting, yes, there's something behind it. Maybe it's the source, or maybe it's a connection. Like, if we can find out if. I think the key here is to separate the girl from the source of power, if possible. And
Because you'll have to fill me in. You'll forget I've never had direct contact with this girl. So is there something specifically that is akin to her here? I mean, I know black tendrils, but does that necessarily?
when she arrived, it's like a specter. Think of it like a ghost. She had what you would expect from a ghost. She could move through walls. She could throw things around, create darkness. I think it's a matter of, I said, trying to figure out what the link is. If I think the girl herself, while traumatized, I think can be saved. And that's my goal, is to save her, but we have to break her away from this thing, whatever is fueling this.
I agree.
I think the best way to connect to her is to figure out who she is as a person. Barring that, there are other ways we could directly just try to overpower this side of her, this song, but that seems less
Well,
clean.
is her power the song, or is she drawing off of the power of the song? Artifacts like that have their own powers. I don't believe that song would be giving her all these, as Dorian put it, strangely powerful abilities with just a few pieces of that song.
Maybe, but the problem is the song has been separated from her, at least part of the sheet music, so we know it's not the song powering her, otherwise that would have been cut. So I don't know. I'm guessing it's part of it. It empowers her at least, but it's not where she's drawing it from. But I'm guessing it's this despair that's linking her to it. Like, as long as she feels a deep despair, she is going to attract this thing to her.
She might just see it as a weapon.
Yes, something she can seek revenge with. And she wants to kill all of Lazar's. And when that happens, she'll probably go away. Maybe.
So, speaking of Lazaros, my father completely lied about everything to do with this. Or at least has omitted it. I know, shocker, right? I have been part of that family a long time. So, we're pretty much going to be out in the cold on this one.
All right. So what is the next plan? Where are we going next?
Well, you got to remember, she's not after Lazaro's. This whole thing started when she went after the bricks.
Was that? Do we know if she was going after them, or if it was
I think
guess,
they
crime
were.
of coincidence?
I think they were caught in the crossfire, is what it sounds like.
Maybe. But weren't they there in the original shooting?
Yeah, the
She
bricks
were.
were there.
And she killed one of them. Do you really care if your family was killed? And if you get everyone involved, whether or not they are now that whichever side? I don't know.
I don't know. I
Might
don't
be-
think we're going to have that information either, as nobody seems to want to talk about it. Those that would know.
And then some of them don't even remember it. Have you noticed this?
Would we meta-wise know that people forget stuff around our powers? Like, would we have
You
noticed this?
you would know that, but you also know that there was no, as far as you can tell, there was no powers involved in this incident. That
Gotcha.
it's a different thing to be like they just completely forget about this thing until you remind them of it.
Mhm.
More often than not, it's sort of like a, well, uh, that thing was a gas leak, or more than likely the mist would have changed it to it was just a normal shootout if there
Mhm.
were powers involved. For
Gotcha.
instance, there's talk now about how there must have been a ruptured water main which caused the damage in front of the art gallery. You caught that on the news this morning. So for people to just not remember it until you bring it up is very unusual.
It's different.
Mhm.
Could that
And
be a
you
power?
you get the idea that it could be a power. You've not seen every power out there, so it does seem to. The more you think about it, the more it seems to bend that way. That someone is using their abilities to make people forget about this incident.
I mean, that means either this thing can do that or somebody else is playing the game. So, yay, more folks to deal with.
Lucius, it occurs to you that if and this kind of like you're just thinking because your mom's a detective, so like you're kind of like you've helped her with cases and you kind of developed this sort of thing, and like it would be really strange that she would want people to forget about this incident, considering she's killing people because of this incident. Like it wouldn't seem like something she would do because she would want people to remember that it happened, right? Because she's seeking her vengeance for it. So
Yeah.
you're
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I would. Lucius would communicate that with the group. Um,
So that means there's another source. Somebody else doesn't want this coming out. So maybe it was a targeted hit, as you were alluding to, and we don't know why their family was targeted.
Dorian
Perhaps.
says that father gave the order to shoot. Wonder if he has something to do with this as well.
Has your father ever made people forget things?
Has my father made people forget things?
not that you can remember.
I mean, he hasn't, but I might not remember.
Right, which doesn't mean he didn't.
Maybe he made you
Exactly.
forget about him. You forgetting.
Made me forget about it. I don't know. He's more of a strike things down type of fella.
He
you
strikes
guys-
me as somebody that demands silence through power, not forgetting.
Power and money go a long, long way towards silence.
Yeah, you have seen him just throw lightning bolts at people that piss him off to send a message. Well, I mean, you all saw it. He sent a message to the brick
Just
leader.
happened.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hell of a message. It works.
Every time. Power and money.
The
Well,
real question is, how do we find someone who makes people forget that something happened?
you bait them out. You remind everybody that something happened, and if they want it forgotten, they will seek you out to make you forget it.
we do have a reporter on our group. I look over at Adrian.
Oh, certainly not my normal type of story, but I can run it by the boss. We could also hold remembrance, candlelight
Like,
vigil at the church or something. Not I could run a
easy
headline
enough.
about.
I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. That would be a good way to draw out all interested parties. I think we check out this painting, send the expert in, and then I can help prepare this vigil, and you can advertise it, and we can sell it as just a remembrance for lost souls in the past year of tragedy that's happened.
Now the question is, Lucius, when you called him a journalist, were there implied or quotation marks, or was he serious about it, or was
I
it
think
a
he was
journalist?
no. I think he was more ignorant than anything else. I think
Okay,
he's blurting out buzzwords that try to fit in.
that makes sense. He's like, I've got an idea. I know how to help.
Yeah, yeah.
Forgetting that I run a tabloid trying to convince people that magic is real.
Yeah.
Right. He just
not
ran an
wrong.
article about the sewer gators the other week.
Yeah, like last week.
Yeah, yeah. Irony is
Oh.
there actually is an alligator in the sewers.
Of course,
but-
that
Yeah.
is.
It's an alligator man.
All right. So, what would be the next step then? What are you guys gonna do next?
Do we have a location for the painting?
Yeah, I guess waiting for Rodriguez to respond with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
we have
You know,
At City Hall.
in the email they said that it was basically in the storage sections of City Hall.
Got it.
Did you email Rodriguez back after this, or
I dictated to Mia to email her back, and I was probably being overly flirty and flirtatious, and
and Mia fixed it?
yeah,
Yeah. Mia's like, boss, absolutely not.
No.
Just stop. Just
I'm not
just
typing
stop.
out the word sugar without the R. Don't.
Absolutely not. All right then. So it's getting kind of late. So I think everyone will head back to their respective homes, and at some time in the morning before you guys all meet back up, you get another email that Detective Rodriguez says she will meet you at City Hall at 10 o'clock in the morning to help you get
Okay.
into the lockers, into the storage spaces.
then I will also dictate to Mia that she should text message the group and have them meet
Or bro.
at City Hall at like 9:45.
I'll swing by Father Williams. Let him know.
I'm also gonna text Leona and ask her to pick me up because my apartment in Uptown's a really far walk.
Of course. All right.
So I'm going to cue the weirdness. So when you come by to visit, you'll hear Father muttering to himself a lot, talking to, and then when he hears a knock, he's like, "Go take care of it. I need to prepare the vigil." But like before, like you actually did a loud knock, clearly trying to get my attention. You heard like almost like an argument, but there was nobody else there. I was arguing with myself. For GM information, I'm basically fighting with the mythos in me, and it wants to eat this creature. Essentially, giant summoning circle under the church and try to absorb this thing
Okay.
and eat its power. And so I'm like fighting it. It's like, no, this is a terrible idea.
Right. Liana, you get a phone call.
Ooh, a call. Wow.
It's a contact of yours. You know his name is Jonathan, and he is an art historian that specifically is all about Eastern European art. Very niche academia, but he is absolutely. He's like, Leona, where did you get that painting?
It's a bit of a long story.
he goes, "This is absolutely incredible. This is a new Estwig painting. I've never seen any like okay, so here's the thing. At the end of his life, there was a series. It was very like different than his old series because it was very like mythologically involved. And so the last one that he would put the titles of each of the pieces in the painting somewhere. So like the last one he that we have was like I think it hold on, let me look at my notes. It was called The Ascension of Baba Yaga. So everything is just very Eastern European, and that's got to be one of the series. That is the 301st painting. We've never seen anything like that.
So you have nothing about this painting at all, but it does fit the series, the last series.
It is absolutely an Estwig. I would bet my reputation on it. And
Thought so too.
if you could get a hold of that for me, it would make my career.
I'm sure that it would. It would also look gorgeous in my gallery, darling.
Uh, I'm just saying that
I'll let you borrow it. I'm just kidding. You can display it for a while.
he
I'm
says,
going to look at it now.
just keep me in the loop.
I
And
absolutely will. Thanks for the tidbit about the title there.
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, look for the title in the painting. It will be somewhere in the strokes.
I
It's
will.
hidden.
Thank
It's
you.
sort of like blended. It will be like almost camouflaged in.
Gotcha. But thank you very much for the information. That's really helpful.
Absolutely. And then he hangs up excitedly. So you guys make it all to City Hall. Detective Rodriguez is standing outside. Um, do you make it on time, or do you make it early, or are you late?
We'll be there early, about
Okay.
10 minutes early.
All right. Yeah. She as you get out and you get out of the very nice car, she kind of looks at you and goes, "Well, at least you're punctual. That's better than normal with some of these guys." Giving Rory a very distinct like side eye. But
I
yeah,
show up.
she holds up a key and she says, "Come on, I'll take you. I'll take you to the storages." And so what happens is she takes you to the elevator. You go down, and the entire basement is basically lined storage units of different like estates and different. You don't know what all is in there. And she goes down the hall and opens it up, pulls and there's all this stuff there. And the three paintings are wrapped in paper and sort of like setting stacked on each other on the frames. And she goes, "This is it. This is everything. Is there anything useful here? Anything worthwhile?"
Possibly.
She goes, "All right, listen, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing. Don't break anything. I am going to go take a coffee break." And she gives you a very pointed stare. "I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Don't
I'd
break
love to
it."
join you in that coffee break.
"Rory, you have a job to do. Get it
What?
done." And she walks off. Okay. So
You're not so type, darling.
She has
All
a
right,
type.
I'm gonna unwrap
I'm assuming you've told all of us about the stuff in the paintings.
Yes. Yes.
As soon as we find that painting, Adrian is scouring it for the
I
title.
can help you for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
All right, so
like he's
you
like devouring it.
this painting is even more disturbing in person. There's almost the way that it's painted and the way the brush strokes are done. The the black and purple and red pieces almost have this like the effect of like those old 3D paintings where the more you look at them, the more they kind of like shift a little when you look at them. There's something about like if you look at this painting from a certain direction, it kind of looks like things like wobble a little. And when you look at it straight on, you realize that it's not doing that. It's the way the painting is painted. Um, and after a little bit of scouring, deep in the black, written black on top of black. And it's just visible. You have to get out a phone and sort of like shine it on there. It says the Feast of Chernobog.
Could you spell that for me?
Chernbog. Adrian, you've collected enough stories around the world, and your whatever is living inside of you, whatever mythos is living inside of you, like pings up immediately. There's just like that part of you that knows stories and that collects all stories and that has sort of a database of stories. Just like boom,
I
suddenly
just
you are just,
immediately know
you
Chernobog, like
you
pick up
kind of
on who Chernobog is.
more less than that and more like this is interesting to you.
Yeah, well, that's why he was looking
Yeah.
at the painting. Is
So do me a favor and roll and investigate, please.
investigate.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Creepy thing.
my could I add to that with my uh I'm I don't know whether I should do curiosity or
I'm going to curiosity is good. I would say curiosity is good.
and
Um
what's your story possibly?
Yep, I'll take what's your story. I will also add in that overexcited is
Overexcited? Yeah. Investigate.
so it'd be a +1 altogether.
Yep.
Ooh,
10.
nice. All right.
Oh,
So you have a clue. What question would you like to ask?
I suppose like off of everything that I know about this girl, how would the stories around Chernobog relate to that?
You know that the stories told about Chernobog are that he is a god of the worst fate. That ill fate, ill fortune, death, and destruction follow this god. That the very little is actually known about him in specific, but that he is considered the black god, the bad god, and that the reason his stories have stayed around is because there were legitimate death cults um, that were long ago basically kept his memory alive.
Oh, well, this both good and bad news. Um makes sense why Chernobog might be related to her. Ill fate, death, destruction. He had death cults around him at one point. Um,
wow.
he's known for not necessarily being a well anything but foreboding when it comes to worship and the ideals surrounding him. She's attached herself to that somehow.
Or has he attached himself to her?
Uh,
This is outside of my realm.
You guys all have a little bit of an idea of what it's like to be sort of driven by needs outside of your own specific needs. Each of your myths, at times, you can feel it pushing and sort of luring you further away from your humanity and into their own machinations, whatever those specific things are. You're all pretty good at like taking control of it and sort of holding your own humanity in. Um, but you recognize that you have not been traumatized like this girl has. Um, and you start to wonder just a little bit what might happen if you simply let that entity have its way, especially if said entity is a god of bad faith and death. And you're all kind of contemplating that, and Detective Rodriguez walks up and is like, "Hey, what's up?"
I think we're
And
all
it's
going to
just
talk a little.
yeah. It's just that moment of like, "Oh, fuck." And she kind of looks down at the painting and she goes, "Oh, that is uncomfortable, isn't it?"
Um, it's a piece called "The Feast of Chernobog," and as he's doing that, he's like, Adrian, still way too excited about all of this, is like doing motions from A Night on Bald Mountain in Fantasia.
And she goes, "So did this help you with your? Is this painting what you guys were looking for?"
I think
Like,
so, Detective, yes. And I'm going to need to take it with me. Is that possible?
roll me a convince.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm really good at this. Let me see if I've
Could
got. Let's do talk anyone into anything.
Uh-huh.
I help with that?
Do you have a help on Leona?
Well, no, I don't have a help with Leona. I was gonna say if there's any way I could like assist in talking and like
Okay.
talking
Yeah,
Detective
I think
Rodriguez into it.
specifically I think you need a help on her to.
Okay.
Okay, so you're using talk
I
anyone
got
into
it.
anything.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yes. No. I'll just use that
Okay.
one. I think. Pretty sure.
Nice. There you go.
All right.
Nice. Well
Hey,
done.
that's
All right,
not bad.
she looks at you for a second and she kind of looks over all of you and she goes, "Look, this stuff is probably going to go on auction soon anyway. I I didn't see this. And
I'm
I
happy to do it right now.
and I can't I I cannot help you in this anymore. I can't. So this is it. This is the final favor. You guys fix this and get the city back to normal, and we'll just I'll make sure everything is dropped. I'll make sure you're left alone. Just get this fixed." Oh Lord. Aiden. You're
I was
snoring.
about
Sorry.
Snoring
to
there, buddy.
Sorry.
All right. So I think that is a good point to end it. We have a lot going on. We have somebody falling asleep. So
Wasn't
yeah,
here.
No,
roll
I'm
the
not
let's
ready.
roll the credits and another session down. So
No, I want to keep playing.
let's let's make sure, did anybody use their weaknesses? We had I know
I
we
was
had Adrian.
overexcited.
Yep, and I marked that. Leona, you didn't use bitter and resentful this time, but I know you have used it
That's
before. So
But I probably did
yeah,
use shithead brother. To be quite fair.
that one will come into play, I'm sure, very very soon.
Yes.
Kyle, I don't think you used yours.
I didn't roll.
Yeah, you didn't even roll this session. You did pretty solid on just getting what you need.
It's awesome.
Lucius, I don't think you had one either, did you?
No, nothing on my side.
All right. We just want to make sure because we get little, your abilities get better as you go. Um, Rory did, because Rory used or had just a jock, so that's going to put attention on his routine. Um. All right. So, geeking
I
out.
have an attention.
What's that? Go ahead.
I have an attention on one of mine, on
Yep.
personality.
I marked that one down. Yeah, you're all right. So, geeking out with the credits. We'll start with we ended with Leona, so we'll start with Leona. Um, do you feel that one of your themes is under pressure, or that you have grown closer with the rest anybody, or grown apart from anybody in the rest of the crew?
Um, Honestly, it felt like a pretty stable session. Like she didn't really get too far away from anything that she's really known for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and everything was just kind of equal
Okay.
on this one.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of inter.
Starting to understand Father Williams a little bit more
Okay.
and the way he works.
All right. Well, go ahead and add a help to Father Williams specifically. And we'll jump over to Father Williams. So, Kyle, do you feel like there's any stress sort of happening on your character in any of your themes, or?
I think because of the circumstances in a weird way, I am going to mark help with Rory because like seeing that interaction more with him and Detective Rodriguez and just like being there in the room with them, I feel like a third wheel. Good for you though. I'm like kind of cheering you on, but like I'm also not like I'm trying to do it in a like a low key way.
Right. And importantly, she didn't say no.
Exactly.
She never said no.
That's it.
So yeah, absolutely. Add a help towards Aiden, towards Rory.
Hey.
All right, Rory, what about you? Is anything starting to feel cracked, or are you starting to feel closer to anyone or farther away from anyone in the group?
In the group, not necessarily, but like as a whole,
Ooh, Father Williams.
oh, it got really dark. Like I think I'm getting closer to like Detective Rodriguez,
Okay.
and I don't. And I think I'm trying to like take cues from maybe Leona because she
Okay.
is a woman nonetheless, and she can kind
She
of
is a woman.
don't do that.
Rory needs that help. He needs that guiding hand in his life. All right, so put a help towards Leona then, and we'll go to Lucius. Lucius, is anything? Do you feel like anything in your is starting to come unwound a little bit, or do you feel like there is a relationship that has started to
Not
be?
necessarily anything unwinding. I'm on the fence because I think Lucius ruined his chance for a help with Nathaniel's character by saying journalist at the end. Like we went on that adventure, and then like
Actually, I was gonna say the opposite because there wasn't really any. You were just blurting out stuff, so I was like, "There's you put a little bit of respect on my name there."
All right, well, go ahead and Adrian can mark a help towards Lucius. And then, yeah, I would go ahead and mark a help towards Adrian, Lucius, because it seems like you guys sort of had this weird little, like, side adventure bond.
yeah, we
I
talked
will,
about comic books and stuff on the way. So
yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I cannot wait to bring this super creepy ass painting to Father Williams in the midst of his existential crisis.
Right, like,
I
yeah,
cannot
and
wait.
You're not helping.
yeah,
Just
for
want to see
sure.
what happens.
And yeah,
Love it.
Father Williams is already like he's already showed some cracks, and actually, I think your
I like Father Williams a lot.
yeah, he already has a crack in his struggle. So I think we'll see that escalate a bit as we go on. Anything else you guys want to say about the session before we close it out?
No,
I
it was
really
good.
enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
sometimes the non-combat sessions are more interesting than the combat sessions.
It's
I'm
nice seeing all the pieces kind of starting to pull in a bit. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that our the two non-combat characters missed the combat session, and we're here for the roleplay session.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I have like one ability that can help me out, and it's literally just to get
It's-
me out of situations.
I got hit so hard.
yeah. Yeah, she got whammied by the
By
bad
my
guy.
dad.
And her dad. Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty epic moment where she was like,
Oh man.
I'm gonna go stab the bad guy, the big giant Ares inspired brick leader, and she rolled a 6.
Yes.
And so he just picks her up, like pushes all his hate powers into her, and then sends her after her father, who proceeds to whoop her ass because she also couldn't roll.
He's scary, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck
Also,
with that.
it didn't really come into play in a role, but I was playing off the fact that I'm dead broke and the fact that I don't have money to get a taxi to City Hall.
I got you.
I'm a reporter. I live in like a 1-bedroom apartment that's like above a restaurant and smells like garlic constantly.
I have a cushy bank account, so we're good. We're good.
All right. Well, hopefully DJ will be with us next time.
Yeah.
And we'll once again, anybody who's watching, if you have some ideas for next season or the season after to start doing some different RPGs. I was exposed to this really cool horror RPG called 10 Candles this past weekend at the Third Floor Wars annual camping trip, and it was one of the coolest horror games I think I've ever played. Like it is such a neat concept where there are like these 10 candles put up, and as each candle blows out, the players get less dice and the GM gets more dice. And the whole time you're playing, you know that your characters are going to die. At some point, your characters are going to die, but you have to play them like they have the hope of surviving. And it was super cool. It was really intense, very neat, especially out in the woods, with all the woods noises and that sort of thing. So it's definitely a game that's going to be on my
trip.
It's a great trip. We have a blast. We do it twice a year. We go out to the woods. We play board games. We play RPGs. We eat tons of food on the fire. It's amazing. It's great. All right, guys. Well, we'll see everybody later.
Yes.
All right.
So much
See ya.
fun.
Be seen.
Thanks.
Good night, y'all.